Yesterday, the Occupy Wall Street protests started with a march of between 15 and 30,000 protesters. Probably the lower figure is closer to correct. Ended with 28 arrests and claims of excess violence by the NYPD. By those standards, today was obviously a much quieter day, but no less important. The crowd endures in Zuccotti Park, and today consisted of an open forum hosted by Naomi Klein and an art exhibit inspired by the movement and the nightly meeting of the General Assembly. In our fourth story, all of the meetings and open forums are a process which help the protesters come together to crystallize their beliefs. And evidence of the success of the meetings, the Declaration of the Occupation of New York City, which I read in full on this program last night. It lays forth not a list of demands, but grievances against the corruption on both Wall Street and in politics, concluding with a call for change and a challenge to every citizen to exercise your right to peaceably assemble, occupy public space, create a process to address the problems we face, and generate solutions accessible to everyone. Joining me now are the co-authors of the Declaration, Ryan Hoffman and Lex Rendon. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Ryan, one thing I noted in reading it, both on the air and off, they're questions, they're not answers. I'm gathering that was deliberate.
Yeah, I think part of the process is sort of identifying the problem, and I think a big part of the process was, you know, sort of creating an apathy killer, sort of to get people engaged, and you know, hopefully, if you don't agree with everything on that declaration and the list of grievances, you agree with some of it, or something, or one part of it. And we can work together towards getting everybody involved in the conversation. And I think that was a big part of why we decided to do it that way.
Yeah, now that's the sort of the context of what's in it. Lex, why was it done now? Was there some sense that there needed to be some explanation for what was going on because everybody else was providing their own, or why at this point was anything needed?
Well, the declaration actually originated as a very short, simple call to action. The idea for it came from something that happened at the GA. A man from Bed-Stuy came and kind of gave us a wake-up call. He said people from his neighborhood didn't want to join us because we weren't addressing the issues in his community,
right, and
realized that we can't know the issues in each individual community. We needed everyone to get involved. We needed everyone to start the conversation that will lead to the solutions that will get us out of this crisis.
All right, so that explains that one. Do you anticipate the need for more statements as time goes forward, or is that again something that will sort of develop organically?
I think it'll definitely develop organically. This one came from a working group. Everyone involved in the GA can form a working group, can bring proposals to the GA and have them, you know, approved or turned down.
And that leads us to the question about the premise of Occupy being consensus. Which is tough enough to, I mean, it's the original form of democracy. However many people you got, they all have to vote on this. Yeah. How on earth do you get consensus on a document that takes 4 minutes to read? That's a lot of document.
Patience and persistence.
That's why it appeared almost at the 3-week mark.
Oh, right? Yeah, I mean, well, everybody down there sort of knew. I mean, when I first went down there, and the conversations that I was having with the people there, the general sentiment was like the system has failed us, and I think that's something that we can all agree on. And nobody could really sort of put a face to the problems that we were having right now. And so we decided that we would take a look at one of the most famous lists of grievances there is, the Declaration of Independence, and we took a look at that for the first time since high school, and we decided that, you know, we were going to sort of model our declaration after that, just to sort of give us a point of solidarity, a point of unity, things that we could do, and luckily we were able to convince people of our working group that, you know, this was a good idea, and they all helped in and edit it. And then, you know, we went to the General Assembly, who had already published principles of solidarity for us, you know, things to unite around, and we decided that you know, we were going to push through. And it was my job to sort of make sure everybody's concerns were heard, you know, make friendly amendments that were proposed at the GA, and, you know, every person there has the right to block. Every person there has the right to veto. So, you know, if you don't put the right terminology in there, somebody's going to block, and then we have to go through this all over again. Yeah. So it's a very time-consuming, very frustrating, but also ultimately very rewarding process. To have everybody reach consensus was extremely uplifting, I think, for everyone involved.
So Lex, when people say, what do you want? Are you satisfied with this document as at least an initial explanation?
I feel people really wanted, they wanted a statement from us that, somehow addressed why we were there. Mm-hmm. And if we weren't going to give demands, we needed to at least list our grievances. Why are we there?
Yeah. Do you anticipate that there will be demands at some point, or how do you see this evolving?
I think he had something to say about that.
Ryan, what do you think?
I think as far as that goes, I think that it's something that's going to develop organically. Mm-hmm. And it's something that has to go through the process. And I think right now the major thing that we have to focus on is getting people away from the apathy and towards action. And I think once more people are involved, solutions will present themselves. Mm-hmm. And this is the opportunity for everyone to get involved in this conversation. And that's what we want. And we're not going to make demands on behalf of the 99% when the 99% aren't involved yet. This is not a liberal issue. This is not a conservative issue. This is a person issue. And we want all people involved.
Well, it's a good start, certainly, towards getting that. As I keep saying to everybody, how many problems have ever been solved without people first saying, hey, this is wrong. We don't have the answer necessarily, but let's get it on the table. Ryan Hoffman and Lex Rendon, the co-authors of the Occupy Wall Street Declaration. It was my pleasure to have read it. The video of it is on the website, so is a transcript of it. So great thanks for your work and for coming out.
Thank you so much for having us.
My pleasure. And now Occupy goes to Washington, where the politicians point at it and try to figure out who should lobby it and to which parties it should be invited. And do not know, it will swallow most of them whole. Occupy D.C. next.